Hello everyone, welcome back to Just Invest Today. In today's video, we're talking about Adam Khoo selling out all of his position in Tencent, and next he's selling his Baba position. It wasn't a big position in his portfolio overall. His Chinese stocks don't take up a big position in his whole portfolio, but we're gonna analyze what he said about China because guys, you know, I have a big position in Baba, JD.com, and Tencent, and I believe in these companies in the future of China. So let's see if we can break down what he said, if it's true, if it's not true, if I agree or disagree with what he said, because he did sell. So should we sell? Should we be worried about what's happening in China right now? Let's get into this video and let's talk about it. But before we do, like this video and subscribe to my channel. Let's get into the first part of this video where he talks about why he sold out of all of his Tencent position.
Just a few weeks ago, the China authorities sent a clear signal that they wanted to revive investor confidence. Investors, come back to the country because we scared you away back in 2021 with our sudden crackdown on the internet sector. At the same time, their main focus is to revive the economy, revive the markets. But on Friday, surprise, we're starting again. We're cracking down on the internet sector, specifically the gaming sector, stopping people from spending too much money on games. Well, that's the final straw. For that reason, I'm done. I sold all my Tencent shares and I'm not touching any more China stocks.
As you just heard, he's selling out of all of his Tencent position because the government just laid down new crackdowns on the whole gaming sector, which sent Tencent and NetEase shares dropping down really fast, 10% and like 20%, which is actually pretty insane. The recovery kind of came back up, but it was kind of too late. Everyone is sour on what's happening because back in 2021, the government did the same kind of tech crackdown on tech stocks, which sent everything going down. And now the government is kind of doing it again. Well, everyone thought that it was kind of over with, it was done with, no more crackdowns, etc., etc. But damn, it came back again. So he's saying that he's selling out for just this reason, that the government is very unpredictable at this point and he doesn't know if there's going to be more crackdowns on Tencent or a next company that he might own.
Yep, so on Friday, a top gaming regulator published draft rules that broadly is designed to clamp down on practices that encourage players to spend more money and time online because the China government is worried that all their young people are not working, they're playing games every day, they're addicted, they're not getting married, they're not having children, and it creates a lot of social ills. So they encompass caps on the amount that each player can spend within a game. You can't spend more than this amount on a game. They ban rewards for frequent logins and false player deals, and even a prohibition on content that violates national security. So with this recent move, it's clear about one thing. The Chinese government places the interests of their people above business interests. And of course, that's very good for the people. That's a very responsible government. But that's not good for business owners. Right? And as people who buy shares of stock, as a shareholder, it's not good for shareholders. So for this reason, I decided to sell all my Tencent shares on Friday and take my loss like a man. And to eventually exit all my China positions over time.
So on top of that reason that he just gave, he gave another reason basically saying that the Chinese government kind of puts its citizens before the business, and it's not good for people who are looking for these huge business gains or huge share price appreciation because they're looking out for the citizens. And he's not saying that's a bad thing inherently, but if you want to make maximum profits, then you kind of have to put the business first over the citizens. And I kind of disagree with that because I think in the long term, if the country is looking after the citizens, like mentality, what they want to produce and what they can produce, I think overall that's gonna become more successful than a country just lets anything happen. Like if a country just lets any kind of drugs or gambling or any kind of random bad things for the country, over the long term, I don't think that's gonna build a successful economy over the long term. And that's what Xi Jinping's been doing. He's playing the long game. That's why on TikTok over there, it's kind of curated. Over here, it's a bunch of garbage. So I don't agree with that because in the long term, what do you want to focus on? You want to focus on businesses that are actually providing value, not just thinking about business, and kind of killing off the citizens and not letting the citizens become more productive. In the later part of the video, he gives an example of like landlords and how you want to invest in a place that's more landlord friendly for you if you're the business owner or you own the property than tenant friendly. And I agree with that, right? But when it comes to business, you got to think about the long-term productivity of the country. And overall, that's what's going to build the economy. That's what's going to build businesses going forward with a strong economy, actually generating more money for the economy. So what do you think is going to be better for the long term of China? Building out really good, strong, fundamentally infrastructure businesses, or allowing all these gambling, allow all these like random games, and kind of see both sides. But I think if you're looking more long term out, it's actually better the way I think China is. And I think a lot of people would agree with that if they would ban like OnlyFans or ban TikTok of what they show. I think a lot of people would agree with that if you live in the US or if you live in the US or in Canada. So it's not all about profits, because think about Costco's model. It puts the customers first. Think about Amazon, customers first. So it's not all about just getting profit out of everyone, just taking money, taking profit no matter what. That's not the long game for the economy or for businesses, in my opinion.
The only time I will sell a stock is for reason number 10. Reason number 10 is when there is a structural problem. Now, what does structural mean? Structural means long-term, permanent problem that hampers the business model or that causes the business to not be able to grow to its fullest potential over the long run. Okay? So, example, the economic mode of a company deteriorates, or there's a permanent disruption to the business model, or there's a permanent change in consumer behavior towards that product. To me, these are all reasons to sell. So again, my rationale for not wanting to invest in China stocks anymore is not because of the weak economy. It's not because of the weak macroeconomics. You know why? Because macroeconomic reasons are short-term, they are cyclical. When an economy is weak, it'll become strong later on. So that's not the reason why I'm not touching China stocks. It's because of the structural policies of the government that are not pro-business, which I don't blame them. I'm not saying they are wrong. They just choose to be more pro-citizens and pro-society than pro-business. And I respect that, right?
So his next point is that China is not pro-business. I fully disagree with this, like completely disagree with this. Do you think, like honestly, do you guys think that China will be able to get to the number 2 biggest economy not being pro-business? Are you seeing the massive amount of businesses that China is creating right now in different industries, in AI, in chip manufacturing, and solar? Like it's like BYD in cars, EVs. How can it not be pro-business? Like that's insane to think that it's not pro-business. It's not pro-degeneracy. It's not pro-gambling. It's not pro just play any video games. It's not pro do drugs and sell drugs and do kind of crazy stuff. It's really predictable of what the China government wants. So for him to say it's not pro-business, have you not seen the economy in China and how it's grown and how it's growing? Like no economy can be that big and that strong, get so many people out of poverty if it wasn't pro-business, not pro-capitalism. Like it's just not possible, in my opinion.
Now, some of you would be asking, but Adam, could there still be some China stocks that could do very well, that could outperform like Pinduoduo and many other Chinese stocks? Yes, of course. There are definitely going to be some Chinese stocks that will do very well in the future. But to me, I would rather just focus on US stocks because of one word called predictability. To me, the most important thing about investing is about predictability. And if I'm investing in an environment where the government can suddenly come up with a law without much oversight and suddenly disrupt the entire industry or business, then I find that very, very unpredictable because there's no way to know when your company will be next. Again, this is not something new. They did it in 2021, but they're doing it again. So at that time, yeah, I saw that coming, but I thought, you know what? They are going to change. It's going to be a short-term thing, but it looks like it's an ongoing thing that's going to recur in the future. So for that reason, I rather invest in businesses that are very predictable in a predictable environment.
So Adam again says that China is very unpredictable, so that's why he doesn't invest in China. And I agree that predictability is super key in investing, but I'm kind of on the fence with this when he says that China is very unpredictable because they can lay down the law anytime. Man, Xi Jinping has literally laid out what he wants for the next 5 to 10 years of China, maybe even 20 years. He is telling you. So how can it be unpredictable if he's literally telling you what it is? He does not want any degeneracy in the economy. No gambling, no like crazy monopolies like how Alibaba was saying, if you are on our platform, you cannot sell on any other platform. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want like Tencent to have the whole sphere that you can't advertise on no other platform. He wants fair practices in the economy. He doesn't want just he doesn't want minors playing games and consuming bad content. Like, that's all to the future of the country and how he sees the country growing and actually accumulating more wealth for the country, for its citizens, and getting actually more people out of poverty. He doesn't want it at all costs. And I think that's actually a good thing long term because he's going to build a better society compared to like USA that allows anything to happen, any kind of gambling, any kind of OnlyFans or whatever it is. Like, that's not the best way to build a society and actually long-term profits, because he is pro-business. If it's solar because he wants more green, if it's BYD, electrical vehicles, if it's semiconductors, if it's just anything like that, like like Xi Jinping is telling you kind of what he wants for China. Also said in the plan that he wants to build out e-commerce, he wants to build out the logistics sector. Like, there's so much he has said in his 5 to 10 year plan for China. So it's not that unpredictable as he's kind of laying it out. What is unpredictable is how Nvidia just got banned from sending semiconductors to China. That might affect the business. So what about those rules? What about those laws and how the USA can do the exact same thing China can do? How the government is telling GM and Ford that you can't sell any more gas guzzling vehicles and you have to have a certain amount of electrical vehicles in 2030 and stuff like that. Like, think about it. USA does the same thing when it comes to their companies if it doesn't like what you're doing. So for you to say that it's just a Chinese thing is just false. In the last section, he said that his Alibaba position is undervalued by a lot because it's still growing its free cash flow, it's still growing its top line, and he sees it around $204, $235, so he's not going to sell right away. He's going to kind of let it simmer, kind of let it bounce back up to that price so he can kind of get out with a good price. Maybe he gets out cleanly, maybe he doesn't. I don't know what happens. He doesn't know what's going to happen with Alibaba in the future, but he still knows the intrinsic value of Baba is around $204, $235. So that's what he's predicting to get out. So guys, what do you think about this video? Do you like what I said? Do you disagree? Leave your comments down below and like and subscribe to my channel. Peace.